Okay, today on the show, we have Aubrey LaRue from Frank Trimble Homes, Keller Williams, in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Let me tell you a little bit about Aubrey. After moving from Florida to Chattanooga, Tennessee in 2013, Aubrey fell in love with the community and the people who call Chattanooga home. And that is what sparked her interest in real estate, being able to connect the people she has come to love with the town she loves. Now, the core of her business is beyond contracts and transactions. It's all about connecting, creating, and fostering a community. Aubrey's been in business for several years now. I think it was her fourth year, and she just recently was awarded the top actually 30 under 30, which is the top 30 agents under the age of 30 by the National Association of Realtors. This is a very, very big deal award. So please, and everyone who is listening, please follow Aubrey. You can find her on Facebook, search for Aubrey LaRue, and also on Instagram, which is Aubrey R. LaRue. So AubreyRLaRue. So find her on Instagram. Aubrey, thank you so much for being part of our show.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, the pleasure is ours. I am really excited to talk with you because you are relatively new to the industry. You're doing incredible amount of production at a very, very quick pace. So I know your history in the industry is relatively short, but I still would love to hear about how you got into the business. You know, what prompted it, and tell us that story.
Well, I fell into it completely by mistake. But once I did, it was like, duh, how didn't I think of this before? Grew up in Florida, got my undergrad in advertising. So then I moved to Chattanooga for a job doing marketing and advertising stuff. And then I think my second year living here, I've been here about 7 now, but my second year living here, I got a director of marketing position at a real estate development firm. So I was in charge of all the marketing and advertising website stuff. And so the longer I was in that and the more I was in the real estate realm, granted it was commercial development, so different what I'm doing now, I really took a liking to that. And then eventually started doing that within the company. And then while I was there, got my real estate license, really wanting to do development, like my own developments and be able to broker deals that way. But then again, that's a whole nother story, but that firm ended up not being a great company to work for. And so I had my license and I had I've created a really good group of friends here. Like we're super tight knit and they kind of were like, I mean, you need to be doing real estate, like residential full time. Like, why haven't you done this yet? But it's scary, going from a salaried job to commission only. And I'm not from here. So it's not like I have, my mom's sister's kids and their friends that will automatically buy and sell with me, but I just kind of made that leap. Best decision I ever made and scariest.
Well, those two things are always the same, right? So scary is almost always good when it comes to big decisions like that, because it usually means you're on the right track. Because if it isn't scary, it's probably maybe not that exciting. And it's also the upside is going to be limited, right? So the idea of doing this now, I am very interested to know, because the commercial world and residential world for many, many brokers, by the way, when I say brokers, of course, every state calls realtors different things.
A million different names.
Million different names. So I'll try to stay with realtor just to make sure I'm not confusing any of our listeners who don't have brokers in their state. But anyway, you made the switch from commercial to residential, which is a big shift. Those two worlds are very different. And obviously the commercial world's just a whole other animal.
It is.
But everyone has to live somewhere, right? So I guess the residential side certainly it can be a lot more predictable.
Yeah, it is. And I think just from my personality, residential makes, not that I won't do commercial, because I actually am very interested in development and things, because Chattanooga is such a growing town right now. But I don't think I'll ever give up residential, just because, and I'll get into this in a little bit, but it's like how I made some of my friends. It's how I really got involved. And creating neighborhoods and community and, making good neighbors.
Yeah, let's talk about this. So you basically moved to Chattanooga. You've been there for 7 or years or
Mm-hmm.
so. However, it's still, that you're still new to the area to some degree.
Yeah.
And so when you started, you really didn't have a big sphere of influence.
I had
So
a zero sphere of influence, zero.
I love it. So how did you actually start? What were because we have a lot of people who are listening who are probably like, wondering, how did you start your business? They're wondering the same thing. Maybe they don't have a large sphere of influence either. So, what worked for you?
Right. So, again, without knowing anyone, I kind of just had to figure out how to make friends, in a city. And it's making friends and community as an adult
It's
is
tough.
not easy. Yes, you think like high school is the hardest time
Yes.
of your life, but honestly, your early 20s,
Yeah.
they were really hard and nerve-wracking because you're finally on your own. I'm in a new state. I don't have family here. Like, it was, really nerve-wracking. But I went to a young professionals association like happy
Sure.
hour, and I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, booze it up a little bit to so I'm not so nervous. And that's really where it all started. Just it was a networking event, but it's really laid back. It's really just a bunch of people getting to know each other. Some are looking for new job opportunities. Some people are looking to hire new people. And some people like me are like, will you be my friend, please? Because I don't know anyone and I need friends.
Right.
So that is how it really spurred, because from there, I met some really great people who then introduced me to more great people, and then so on and so on. And then I became kind of an ambassador for new people coming into the city. And I eventually, and I'm still on the board for YP Chattanooga. So, because it was so great having that when I was new, that
Sure.
I want to make sure other new people, or even people that have been here but haven't quite found their footing or their niche, or maybe thinking of a career change, like I want to be that person to them like I had, because otherwise I would not be here and doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's really a great suggestion too for everyone listening. So she's talking about what is called YP, Young Professionals.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty much all over the country, but there are
Yeah.
all sorts of different, groups. If that one doesn't exist in your local area,
Oh yeah, there's something
definitely
for
looking.
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to get involved. And especially too, that's a very interesting, we've done almost 200 episodes and I have yet to really have anybody say that exact story, which is like, hey, I got involved to really, network and meet people myself. But then as I started to develop my career, I wanted to give back. And also, obviously it's going to help your business indirectly. But
Right.
this idea of getting involved, being on the, being involved with the leadership there,
Right.
and giving your time and energy. And then also, just, I'm sure like a good chunk of your clients when you first started, is that really where they came from?
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah. And it's funny because I'm like, did I meet them through YP? Because they
Now they're
became
just your friends.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like, I'll shout out Josh Kropp, one of my best friends, also one of my biggest advocates out there, he and his wife, Natalie. And he's really the one that he is born and bred Chattanoogan. He knows every single person. And so he really, like when I first met him at YP, because he'd been involved for years, he's actually now the current president. And he introduced me to like every person he knew. And so he and my whole group of friends that I've met through him kind of started word of mouth, getting referrals. Yeah, it's funny because I'm like, oh, I met them at a networking event, but it feels weird now because they're like
Yeah.
family to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's how it seems to work for a lot of brokers, is their clients end up becoming their friends, a lot of them, and they end up
Oh, yeah.
celebrating with them at the various life events and
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. It's funny. It's just, I mean, yeah, it's weird to think how it all kind of stemmed from that, but we're each other's biggest advocates. And I was in their wedding and they just had twins and I'm about to go over there and bring them dinner and things like that. So it is really cool to have people that you care about and care about you, and building a business that way and of trust.
Yeah, that's it. And you've had some really, really impressive numbers, even
Thanks.
in your short tenure as a real estate agent. Although it's certainly becoming longer. But you did what, over 20 million, something like that, in the last year or so.
Well, the last
Which
2 years, about 10 million for the last 2 years.
Yeah, which
And
is
then,
insane, which is incredible for somebody 3 to 4 years in. That's an incredible amount of
yeah,
production.
so I think I'm scheduled to do 12-ish this year, 12, 13.
It's amazing. Have you
So
found that that the pandemic did it slow your business, or did it?
no,
Yes.
I
Okay.
don't know what's happening. I have never been busier. Talk to all of my friends. I mean, yeah, I'm running on coffee. It's been amazing. I mean, super low rates help. I mean, I'm even buying another house right now.
Yeah.
So
Now's the time.
now's the time. And so hopefully that also makes my clients feel better. Like, is it now a good time? I'm like, well, I'm actually buying another house. So if I'm doing it, you should trust that I'm, making a good
Y-
informed decision. Um, but yeah, it's been really crazy. But we have the lowest inventory we've ever had right now. It even dipped into the 1,500 mark earlier today. And so like our typical low inventory is around, there's my dog Chicken, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, around 2,000, 2,100, 2,200 homes. That's typical low inventory. And we're in the low 1,600s right now. So it's multiple offer everything, which, I mean, you in Chicago, I'm sure you're used to that. And
Right
that
now,
does.
our inventory is really low as well. So it's all multiple offer situations, and great time to be a seller.
Yeah,
Difficult time to be a buyer, in a
it
sense,
is.
because rates are so low. It's basically it's almost like the money's free,
Free money.
and
Yeah.
free money. And it's just, now it's an inventory issue. So what a great time if you have listings to be able to take advantage of that. I want to talk about, what are some other ways. So you talked about networking
Yeah.
really helped jumpstart your business with young professionals. And as you started to grow your business, what are other things that you're doing just to either stay engaged with your, so somebody, you help somebody buy or sell a home or rent, and then all of a sudden, well, they're probably not going to do anything for 7 years or so, 5 to 7 years. I don't know what the average time is in Chattanooga for people to move, but how do you stay connected with your sphere of influence that you've built up?
So I'm quite the social butterfly, and it is a joke in my circle that I'm only in real estate so I can make more friends. Um, like it's funny, my friends and I mean, it's a guilty pleasure, but I'll tell you, we
Yeah.
watch The Bachelor every week. It's so bad that
Okay.
it's good, so don't judge.
Sure.
But
I'm
it's
not.
funny, there was like a group of 20 of us in a room watching it. And our husbands also come, even though they claim not to watch. They're like
Oh boy.
stalking in the back, being like, so what's going on? But it's funny because we do this every week. And one day someone was like, how did we all even meet? And we went in a circle, and every single other person had either done at least one transaction with me or had referred me, or like someone in their family has. It was all like through real estate. And that's when it's like, you just do this to get more friends. But I'm I like to be face to face. So, well, pandemic has obviously changed it, but I make it a point to have at least 2 or 3 coffee or lunches, happy hours a week, just with
Wow.
people. Yeah, just people in my sphere, or friends of friends. I don't necessarily. It's almost like a blind date friend meeting.
Sure.
But people just that have questions about real estate or don't, just to get to know more people. But again, we also do events throughout the year. With my team does. We were supposed to do a big one, I think like yesterday or something, but obviously
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
happening. So, but yeah, I'm really big on one-on-one. Obviously I rely on phone calls and emails too. But I think the heart of my business is like putting myself in front of people. I mean, I'm really outgoing, so that's not so hard for me, which I know that's not everyone's thing. You know, some
Sure.
people, you don't have to be outgoing to be good in real estate. And I think that's actually, people think you have to be super social and super outgoing to be good at it. But for those listening, you don't. But that's just my shtick. Like, I've never met a stranger.
Right.
But yeah, so in the meantime, during pandemic, we've just been doing like Skype happy hours and things like that with friends and friends of friends. So yeah.
Yeah, I want to circle back around to the, obviously right now, not everyone's able to meet face to face, but
Right.
assuming that we're able to get back there, hopefully soon. I want to drill down on this. So let's say I was your client for 2 years ago, and maybe we're not best friends, but obviously I had a good experience working with you. You might even call me and say, "Hey, I want to take you to coffee, just see how you're doing." Is that sort of what happens? Okay. And then, so it's not necessarily you saying, "Hey, DJ, by the way, I need referrals," or "Are you looking to buy or sell a home?"
No,
It's just, let's hang out and
jam.
catch up. Yes. I
Yeah,
figured
because I am so, ask everyone on my team, and Cheryl and Frank, if you're watching this, they know that this is me. I was always so afraid of being that girl that people avoided because she's just begging for business. Because again, going to young professionals meetings, obviously there's a lot of people in sales. And so, I mean, there's some guys that like I would be avoiding because they're like, "Oh, do you need a security system?" And I'm like,
right.
No.
They have their business card out and ready.
Yeah. And I'm so terrified of people thinking that I only want to talk to them because of business, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And so I've always been so terrified to ask people that. But again, the longer I'm in it, once they know that you're in real estate, like once you're associated, it doesn't have to be real estate all the time. You want to stay top of mind, but you want to provide something of value. And you only asking for business and never providing value, it's not going to work. People are smart. They're going to see through it. If you're just money minded and you're not like human conscious, I mean, it's very easy to tell. And so for me as well, even if it's someone that like, I'm not asking for coffee, I'll touch base to see, hey, like you've been in there a couple of years. Are you thinking about doing any renovations or whatever? I've got a great painter, I got a great contractor, a great plumber. Who do you need? So sharing, so we have a spreadsheet of like our go-to people. Yeah. And so, and also like a lot of my clients, I'm also their clients. So like Josh Kropp that I mentioned before, I've been his realtor, I think 3 times now. He's also my financial advisor. So I also, my clients also provide services for me as well. Like my HVAC person was a client of mine. And so I'm also a very big believer of giving business and generating leads through generosity. So
So
if you have, who needs help.
Yeah. And if you have a client that's like, "Hey, I just left my job and I'm moving to a different job," it might occur to you to say, "Hey, if you want to roll over your 401k, I've got a great guy. He's my financial advisor. He's awesome." And you're going to connect him. You're going to connect those people.
Or if I can, like, I actually had a client who during pandemic was very unsure about what was going to happen with their job. So they actually put their home search on pause, but I still talk to them frequently because I'm trying to find other opportunities for him, because the Young Professionals Association I'm a part of is an arm of the Chamber of Commerce. So I sent, my contact at the chamber a message saying, "Hey, this guy has these qualifications. Do you know of anything?" So I'm a good connector.
Yeah.
I'm a matchmaker. That's multifaceted. I'm a matchmaker in my business when I think I'm really good with figuring out what people truly need and kind of finding that, even if it's not something they necessarily thought about before. And then same thing with people. I like being like, "Hey, I think your personality will get along with this personality. You should be friends." And then same thing business wise, like, "Hey, I think, you've gone through 8 different painters and they're all horrible. You should have called me. I have all these great people. So here you go."
Yeah, no, that's really great. I want to go back to something also that you said that I think was really, really important. It's such a great practical tip. So for everyone listening who's a realtor out there who's thinking, I sold a home to somebody 2 or 3 years ago, and I know they're not moving anytime soon, and I don't want to ask them for business because maybe that feels disingenuous to call
Yeah,
somebody. And but you just gave a really practically great reason to call somebody. Is like, hey, by the way, you've been in there several years. If you are thinking about any sort of home improvement products, renovation, or maybe right now is a good time to refinance too, with rates being
totally.
so low, I just want to pass some, I'm happy to pass people over to you. I just wanted to check in, see how you guys are doing.
Yep.
And that's such a great reason to pick up the phone.
It
uh,
is. And it's way less scary because it's not like gimme, 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 gimme.
right.
Same time, I also want to tell people to not be afraid to ask for help or ask for business, because the people that know you, that love you, that trust you want to help you. Just like if you envision yourself like thinking about it the other way around, like, hey, my friend that whatever is a contractor, of course I trust him. Of course I want to send him business. So the people that feel that same way about you are going to want to do that. It's just a balance of not only picking up the phone when you're trying to ask for a referral.
Right.
And I mean, there's a lot of trading out there that's just like, do you have any referrals, or do you need to buy, sell, or invest? And like, that's so not my style. And I'm sure it works for someone, but
I'm not sure who that works for.
I don't know either. But I've gone to so many different classes and seminars, and real estate, we're big on scripts. And some of
Yeah.
these scripts, I'm like, if someone did this to me, I would
Right.
hang up.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
Yeah, people want somebody who's empathic, who's compassionate, who
Right.
actually cares and is selfless. And so you typically, when I was a financial advisor a million years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the top financial advisors in our office who'd been doing it 30 years says, if you have to ask for the business, you're doing it wrong. And I always thought, oh, easy for him to say. He has a huge book of business. But then I saw him at work, and he was just so masterful and so good. So obviously you have to have the skill. But then he also
Right.
just laid it out and said, here's what I do. And if anyone's interested, they can come to me. And it worked for him. Now, there's nothing wrong with asking for business as well, if you can do it in a genuine way. But
Right.
that is, for me, that would be very difficult.
Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of people are really afraid to really jump into the business, because they don't know how to communicate. Because obviously you want business, but yeah, it needs to come from the right place. And yeah, people are just really fearful, and they don't know how to open up that conversation without sounding like a bad car salesman.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's true, because really nobody wants to work with the bad car salesman. In fact, when we all have to go out and buy a car, we all have that, like, I don't really want to deal with a car salesman.
Oh
And
yeah,
and some
no.
car salesmen are awesome.
Right.
Certainly, they really are. I've bought cars from really great salespeople, and then I've had horrible experiences as well. So I can completely understand somebody saying, "Well, I don't really want to bother my friends and family." It's like, no, I don't think you should bother your friends and family,
Right.
but those, and I think you would likely agree with this, those are going to be your advocates. Those are the people that are going to tell other people about you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit more. So talk a little bit more about what you do for your clients. I'd love to know, what do you think separates you from the probably thousands of other realtors there in the Chattanooga area?
Yeah, there are more realtors than there are houses available. Truly. What separates me? I mean, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse when I say this, and maybe it sounds like I'm desperate for friends, but I really, once the transaction is done, the relationship doesn't end.
Yeah.
And I think that's something really important to remember, because your most valuable resource are people that have worked with you and know that you're good at it. And so why not pour into them and be as helpful to them? Even if they're not looking to buy another house right away, they're the ones that are going to connect you with the other people. So that's why, for me, the face-to-face stuff, or just like dropping off little gifts here or there,
Yeah.
inviting them to our events, We were planning on this year doing a kind of a different style. Like we created a private Facebook and we were going to start doing like pop-up events. So for like, hey, for all you beer people, we're going to, from 4 to 7, we're going to be at this brewery. And so
I love it.
Y'all come on, tabs on us. And so things like that, where we're trying to get to know like our sphere of influences on a more personal level. And that's why we want to do more frequent, smaller events, because the big events that we do, they're super fun, but it's kind of like a wedding where you're getting, you know, pulled from one direction to the other, and you're not really getting to have that intentional conversation to further the relationship. So, and we're asking them, you know, like, what kind of events do you want? What, or what things can we do that provide value? And so
can I give you a great suggestion that another realtor. So this was so brilliant and simple and done for the right reason. So I want to preface it by saying this was done for absolutely the right reason. So I think most people feel in their life as they get older, they go, you know, I should be giving back more. I should be volunteering, donating time, money, energy to whatever cause somebody's passionate about. But life gets in the way. We have families, we have business, we have friends and everyone else to see and spend time with. And we go, I know I should be doing that, but I probably don't. And my guess is that the vast majority of people think they should be doing more to give back and they can't yet find the time to do it, or they haven't prioritized it. And so a great event that I went to years ago, it's actually somebody I interviewed on our show 3 or 4 years ago. She invited me, it was just down the street from where I live, to an anti-cruelty event, which is a shelter for dogs and cats. And so we'd go there for 2 hours on a Sunday. You know, we got to tour the facility. We got to make toys for dogs out of t-shirts. And it was really, really fun because, number one, most people like, you know, hanging around animals, but also,
as you can see, my dog that was like right behind me before.
You have 2 dogs. I have 2 pets. We're both pet people, but most people are animal people, not everyone, but most, unless you're allergic or you don't like animals, but most people are. So I thought, and so I went and spent time with my friend who's a realtor, and I had a great time. And it was 2 hours, and I was walking out of there and I felt good about myself because I said, I just did something good. And I thought, oh, that was actually a really smart idea for it.
That is.
Isn't it? Because everybody wants to give. You're giving them an opportunity to do it, and it's fun. And so that's just another opportunity for all of our listeners. If you're thinking,
totally steal that.
Yeah, and it does. I don't know if it cost her anything. She bought like a couple of pizzas. So, you know, maybe it was $50 out of her pocket, maybe. But that was about it. And so it was such a great, lovely idea. And I was like, I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Yep. Stolen. Thank you, whoever did that, because now I'm stealing it.
And also too, this idea of constantly scheduling, you know, lunches, coffee, you know, and in this case now maybe doing more virtual right now until things change, but is such a great idea. I'm thinking back to all the professionals that I employ. My accountant, I have never met, I've never seen her. She's lovely. I have no complaints, but you know, she's an example of somebody who I've been working with for 10 years. I don't know what she looks like. I've talked to her.
You've never met her?
Never met her. And nor do I need to. I mean, I just don't need to.
Right.
But I would be happy to. Now, if she called me tomorrow, and she'll never listen to this, so I don't want to insinuate she needs to do this, because that I would feel terrible and wouldn't let her do this. But if she called me and said, hey, you've been with me for 10 years, I owe you a coffee, or let's just hang out and catch up, I would be like, great, that'd be awesome. Now, I don't expect her to do that, and I'm sure hundreds of clients she has. I'm not that important. It's no big deal. But as a realtor, you have the opportunity to make people feel special. Yep.
Yeah. I brought my accountant champagne over Christmas or like New Year's.
So now I have to bring my accountant champagne. So now I feel bad.
So you hear that, Mrs. Accountant? He's going to do it now. So I love, so that's another thing we do. So for Christmas and stuff, for the clients that bought or sold with us that year, we drop off little gifts, which our list has gotten very long now. So I think we're going to try to think of a way for them to come to us, because I physically don't have the time now to go to that many houses. I'm not Santa Claus, but I feel like it.
Yeah,
sometimes.
and I imagine, if you did have the time to drop it off, you would for everyone,
Exactly.
because I imagine the joy that they receive is probably just wonderful.
Yeah,
And yeah. And that's the other thing too, is this industry is such a face-to-face,
it is.
even virtually face-to-face. It's better than, probably a phone call if you're doing Zoom or Skype.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's a great opportunity just to connect with the people that are in your sphere and see how they're doing, especially with all the uncertainty. Unemployment is still really, really big. And so this is a huge opportunity just to check in on people who might not be as socially active anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's been really strange just because you have such a large spectrum of, people that are not leaving their house at all to the ones that are like, meh, like we're fine, which, and I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And also like, yeah, respecting people, and with showings and stuff, it has been more challenging just because we want to follow protocols. We want to respect not just our clients, but the homes that I'm bringing clients into and things like that. So it's been a crazy time, but it's cool to see how people are adapting.
And another reason you can call somebody right now is I think there are so many people that are probably, as we're starting to move away from being so isolated, I think there's a lot of people that are thinking, I need to move into a bigger space.
Me.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Me.
yeah,
But yeah, no, it's true, because, and I do think that the pandemic will change how businesses run. I think that they're probably going to shut a lot of physical offices down because they've realized, well, maybe our team isn't quite as productive when they're working from home, but we now don't have the overhead costs. So it doesn't matter if they're as productive because now we don't have to have physical offices. So it's so funny that you say that, because it's truly a real thing where people are buying new houses. So they can, both parties, if they're, a couple, can work from home. Because I know my husband and I attempted to work from home together. That did not last very long.
yeah,
Love you,
yeah.
Christian, but he's a very loud talker. I'm a moderately loud talker. Nightmare situation. And so the next house we have will be better for that.
Oh, that's amazing. And we should also reiterate once again that Aubrey was the recipient of National Association of Realtors 30 under 30 class of 2020, which is they're celebrating 30 individuals under the age of 30 who are doing some really unique and cool things in their business. It's not necessarily who's got the highest production, although some of those people have including yourself, have incredible production. I mean, for doing 10 million within 3 to 4 years, I guess in your third year you were doing 10 million. That is an incredible jump, no matter where you work and live. But you're also doing a lot of other things. I imagine the social connection part of it is probably part of the reason why you were selected. But can you tell a little bit about why you think you were selected? What were some of the things that you think that really got their attention?
Oh gosh, that's a loaded question. Because again, like I didn't think in a million years that I would ever get selected, just because when you think about nationally,
Right.
how many agents there are, and then, you see the numbers of some of these people that are in these big cities, and it's insane. I don't know how they physically do it. So I'm like, well, little old me and little old Chattanooga. But Cheryl, on our team, she's like, you need to do this. And I'm like, well, when's the application due? She's like, I don't know, in like 12 hours. I'm like, great. Yeah, she's like our team mom. It's Frank's wife, but she also is the glue to our team. She was our first rock star admin. So she's the one that does make sure all the numbers and our team actually, works.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when I initially got interviewed, I was flabbergasted that I even got the first interview. But I mean, I don't know really what makes me special. I'm really honored, but I think just that I conveyed that for me, it's such a personal one-on-one experience. And that, I told them the Bachelor story, where it's like my clients have become they're in my everyday life. And obviously not every single client is like my new best friend,
Sure.
but I think at least I hope I make those people feel that way, that I legitimately care about how they're feeling about, making sure they're feeling good in a new home or selling a home, moving on to another chapter, and that it's not just like a business transaction, that I actually care about them in a very real way. And so, when there's people, and it's funny, like we had really, really bad tornadoes here 2 months ago, wiped out part of our city. It was really, really devastating. So I was checking in on all of my past clients, just making sure that everyone was okay, like in those areas. And one of my previous clients was like, I can't believe you reached out to me. You sold me a house 4 years ago. And I'm like,
right.
Well, of course I'm going to reach out to you. She's like, but how do you even remember me? And it's like, what do you mean? How do I remember you? Yeah. So you can see that clearly in other industries or whatever experience they've had, they maybe didn't feel remembered or cared for. So they're not just a number to me. And I really, really live by that.
Yeah, I'd say feeling remembered and cared for. This is a great place to sort of wrap up, because that may be the most important thing you could possibly do after the transaction completes, is thinking all the time, are my past clients right now today, do they feel remembered and cared for by me? And if not, okay, that's an honest place to start. Now, what can I start bringing back into the relationship? What can I do to reestablish that? And and in your case, you haven't had to do that because you're just constantly doing it. And as a result,
I'm tired all the time.
and you're now what, in your third or fourth year now? And
I guess July was when I technically got my license, but I really didn't start working until I think September of 2016. So, wow. It's pretty,
so about 4 years.
In some ways it feels like I've been doing it forever. And then in some ways I feel like I just started and I'm just getting going.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're obviously having an incredible impact, and it's so exciting to talk to somebody who's doing so well. I mean, I certainly, you don't have to give us the number, but is the majority of your business these days from referrals from either friends, clients, past clients? Is that a good chunk of your business?
Yeah, it is now. Yeah. So for the first year and 2 years, I was still really heavily relying on leads coming in from our listings or website and things like that.
Sure.
But even since then, people that initially came in from website and stuff have become part of the inner circle and, produce more referrals that way. But yeah, I'm getting to be way more referral based.
Yeah, that's a huge compliment to obviously how you've grown your business. We are super excited to continue to watch your progress as you start to dominate the Chattanooga market. So we want to thank you on behalf of the listeners for this time today. We really got a lot of value out of this. Everyone who listened to this, she just gave at least 3 or 4 actionable strategies that you can employ today to have your clients feel more connected and cared for. So if nothing else, think about, how can I better connect with those people who I'm currently working with, who I worked with in the past, and who maybe I'll work with in the future. People want to work with people who care and about them. So it sometimes can be as simple as that. Certainly isn't easy, but it can be as simple. But Aubrey, thank you so much for your time today. I also want to remind everyone to follow you on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for Aubrey LaRue on Facebook, and on Instagram, your handle is Aubrey R. LaRue. We'll post links to those as well. And we want to thank you for spending this time. And also on behalf of of Aubrey and myself, we want to thank the listeners for continuing to support our show. Please, we asked everyone who's listening or watching to do 2 quick things. One, tell a friend. Think of one other real estate professional that could benefit from hearing this great interview with Aubrey, and send them a link to either this particular episode or send them to our website, keepingitrealpod.com. They can find all of our episodes there. And second, Follow us on Facebook. Every single day, we post an article that we find online specific to help you grow your business. And also, we post all of our episodes there too. So facebook.com/keeping it real pod. Aubrey, thank you so much. Aubrey did invite me to come to Chattanooga. She didn't. She just said you should come. So I took that to mean an invitation.
Hey, I have a.
We'll see the new big house.
Sell this property. Yeah, we at this house we have a cottage that we Airbnb. So you already got a place to stay.
Perfect. My girlfriend and I will be en route shortly. But thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. On behalf of all of our listeners and Aubrey, thank you. And we will see everyone on the next episode. Thanks, Aubrey.
Thanks for having me.